Welcome to Bills Nation Daily, your ultimate daily dose of everything Buffalo Bills. Hit that subscribe button and join the most passionate Bills fans as we break down all the latest news, highlights, and game analysis. Go Bills! Rumors are spreading like wildfire around Buffalo, and the whispers are starting to sound louder than the stadium crowd after a touchdown. Reports suggest that head coach Sean McDermott, usually measured in his words and cautious when dealing with the media, may have crossed a line in private conversations that somehow leaked into the public space. The alleged quote, "He doesn't play with me anymore," attributed directly to McDermott, has been attached to one particular player whose name is being carefully guarded by insiders. But fans and analysts are already piecing the puzzle together. The context, as insiders describe, was heated, the mood tense, and the message clear. There's at least one player in that locker room who has lost the trust, the patience, and maybe even the respect of his head coach. And when a coach uses words that sharp, that definitive, it is never just about tactics or game plans. It cuts to something deeper. It is about loyalty, belief, and the thin line between being part of the long-term vision or being completely erased from it. And Buffalo is buzzing because when McDermott talks, the franchise listens. The situation is especially intriguing because McDermott has always projected an image of unity, structure, and calm authority. He built his reputation on discipline, on creating a defensive fortress, and on demanding accountability without ever letting his frustrations spill publicly. But this time, the words sound almost personal, as if the player in question crossed not just a professional boundary, but also something more intimate within the trust between coach and athlete. Fans are asking themselves, who could it be? Is it a star with a big contract whose influence stretches beyond the field? Or maybe a role player who has tested McDermott's patience too many times with inconsistency, attitude, or off-field distractions? The locker room in Buffalo has been known for its togetherness, but even the strongest bonds can crack under pressure, especially after tough losses or under the immense expectations that the Bills now carry. These rumors suggest that the fracture may not be reparable, and the quote itself feels like the ultimate rejection, an expulsion from the inner circle. Analysts on national television are already running with the narrative, suggesting names and possibilities, but no one has been able to confirm which player McDermott was targeting. Some point to offensive struggles as a hint. Others look at defensive rotations where tempers flare, but nothing is set in stone. What adds fuel to the fire is that McDermott is not the kind of coach to throw words carelessly. If he said it, he meant it. And if he meant it, the consequences could be massive. In the NFL, locker room chemistry is as important as talent. And once a relationship between a head coach and a player collapses, it rarely, if ever, recovers. Just think of past situations around the league where coaches drew a line, and within weeks or months, those players were gone, either traded, benched, or simply phased out of the system. Fans in Buffalo are now holding their breath, waiting to see if a shocking roster move could be the next domino to fall, and the uncertainty has everyone buzzing louder than a snowstorm at Highmark Stadium. There is also the human side of this drama that fans often forget, but insiders never ignore. For a coach to say, "Not with me anymore," it suggests a clash of values, a breakdown in communication, and possibly a situation where egos collided so violently that no compromise was possible. McDermott, despite his often stoic exterior, is a man of principle. He believes in hierarchy, respect, and commitment. If a player disrespected that, maybe through questioning authority, refusing a role, or pushing boundaries off the field, then the punishment is not just disciplinary. It's existential within the team structure. For the unnamed player, this might feel like exile. Teammates surely know who is being referenced, and that adds another layer of tension, because if one person is singled out, everyone else wonders about their own status and security. Locker rooms can become divided quickly, especially when rumors leak. Some players might quietly side with the unnamed star, while others will rally behind McDermott, reinforcing his authority. Either way, the harmony that drives success feels endangered, and the cracks, once visible, are rarely sealed completely. Speculation is running so wild that social media has turned into a guessing game. Fans analyze body language on the sideline spats caught on camera, or even cryptic posts made by players in recent weeks. Did that stare mean something? Did that shrug, after a missed play, signal discontent? Did a vague tweet about loyalty or respect actually point to McDermott's words? This kind of buzz is both entertaining and destructive, because while it fuels endless debate for fans and media personalities, it distracts the team from the real work of preparing for crucial games. The Buffalo Bills are in a pivotal season, one where every snap and every mistake could tilt the balance between Super Bowl aspirations and bitter disappointment. And now, in the middle of this already intense atmosphere, a shadow looms over the locker room. Who is out of favor, and how will that affect the team's spirit moving forward? Everyone wants to know, but for now, it remains hidden in whispers and conjectures. For McDermott himself, the timing of this controversy could not be worse. His tenure with Buffalo has been defined by raising standards, reshaping culture, and leading the team back into perennial contention. But moments like these can define legacies. If the player in question is a key contributor, a star who has delivered on the field, then McDermott risks alienating not only a teammate, but also an entire fan base that might not easily forgive the decision. On the other hand, if the player is truly toxic to the team environment, then standing firm could strengthen McDermott's authority and reinforce his credibility as a leader unwilling to compromise principles. Coaches live in that gray area, balancing results and relationships, and sometimes one hard line changes everything. For now, the storm keeps brewing, and Buffalo waits for either an official statement, a surprise roster move, or maybe just another cryptic clue that will keep the rumor mill spinning. The one thing that feels certain is this: the bond between McDermott and that player is broken, and the repercussions could echo throughout the season, long after the original words were spoken. Inside NFL circles, this kind of story always has a ripple effect that goes far beyond one franchise. Other teams are surely watching closely, sensing an opportunity to swoop in if a talented player suddenly becomes available because of broken trust with his head coach. Front offices thrive on situations like these, where one organization's problem can become another solution. And yet, no move is simple, especially when emotions are involved. McDermott's declaration, if true, places him in a position of final authority, but it also places pressure on the Bills' management. Do they back their coach without hesitation, no matter who the player is? Or do they weigh the financial and football implications of cutting ties with someone valuable on the field? These decisions never happen in a vacuum. Owners, general managers, assistant coaches, and even locker room leaders all become voices in the discussion, and unity among leadership is just as vital as unity on the field. What started as a rumor now feels like a test of Buffalo's organizational strength, a moment that could shape not only the rest of this season, but also the long-term direction of the franchise. The secrecy around the identity of the player has fueled dramatic theories, some of them bordering on the absurd, but that is how the NFL rumor machine works. Without names, the imagination fills in the blanks. Some fans point fingers at offensive frustrations, citing moments when receivers looked visibly upset with play calling. Others whisper about defensive rotations, suggesting a player unhappy with reduced snaps or critical adjustments. And still others go darker, speculating about off-field issues that might have eroded McDermott's trust. The longer the team remains silent, the more oxygen these theories receive. Silence, after all, is never neutral in sports media. It is interpreted as confirmation, as a sign that something indeed is boiling behind closed doors. The longer it lasts, the greater the frenzy. Reporters will probe every press conference, searching for subtle shifts in McDermott's body language, looking for an unguarded moment when frustration flashes. Until then, the fans are left chasing shadows, guessing, arguing, and fueling the fire that makes this story feel larger than life. In Buffalo, loyalty runs deep. The fan base has endured decades of heartbreak, rebuilding, and near misses, and they hold their players close to their hearts. which is why this potential fracture feels personal to so many. The fans aren't just asking, who is McDermott talking about? They're asking, what does this mean for our dreams? The Bills Mafia has been riding high on hope, finally believing in a team that could break through and deliver the ultimate prize. But if discord is now undermining the foundation, those hopes suddenly feel fragile. The frustration of fans is amplified because they've been here before, seeing talented teams undone not by opponents, but by internal strife. And if McDermott, the man tasked with steering the ship, is publicly or privately severing ties with one of his own players, then the foundation of trust between team and city begins to tremble. No one doubts McDermott's passion or his football mind, but passion without harmony can turn volatile. And in a season where every margin matters, Buffalo cannot afford even the smallest crack to widen into a chasm. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. This entire situation also forces a reflection on leadership in modern sports. A head coach must balance authority with empathy, strategy with flexibility, and discipline with understanding. When McDermott allegedly declared, "Not with me anymore," he may have been acting out of conviction, but conviction in isolation can backfire if the locker room interprets it as inflexibility. Great leaders know when to bend without breaking, when to forgive without forgetting, and when to stand firm. If McDermott misjudged that balance, the consequences could extend far beyond one player. Relationships within a team are interconnected, like threads in a web, and pulling one apart can shake the whole structure. Teammates often see how a coach treats one individual as a reflection of how he might treat them in the future. If the words felt harsh, final, or unjustified, then whispers of discontent might spread quietly, unspoken but powerful. Leadership is not just about control. It's about trust, and if trust begins to erode, victories on the field will not mask the fractures beneath. Meanwhile, the player at the center of this storm, whoever he may be, is left in a state of limbo. Imagine the weight of being the one whispered about, speculated upon, perhaps even ostracized, without the clarity of official acknowledgement. Teammates may already know, but the public guessing adds layers of pressure. If it is a star, every snap will be analyzed as proof of rebellion or reconciliation. If it is a role player, every mistake will be magnified as evidence of McDermott's frustration. And if it is someone whose contributions are subtle, the narrative might overshadow the reality of his impact. For the player, silence is both shield and prison. Speaking out could confirm suspicions. Staying quiet allows others to paint the picture. Either way, reputation is at stake. And in the NFL, where careers are short and legacies fragile, being labeled as the player who lost his coach's trust can be career-altering. The burden is heavy, and the unknown makes it heavier. Ultimately, this story, whether it explodes into a full-blown scandal or fades into rumor, highlights the fragile equilibrium inside professional sports teams. The Buffalo Bills are chasing greatness, but greatness is never achieved without turbulence. Sean McDermott, by allegedly drawing such a hard line, has placed his leadership, his locker room, and perhaps his future on the table. The unnamed player, by contrast, becomes both victim and antagonist in a drama that will not leave Buffalo anytime soon. Fans will keep speculating, analysts will keep dissecting, and every game will now feel like an answer to the question: has this team truly united behind its coach, or are invisible fractures pulling it apart? Rumors can be dismissed, but they rarely disappear. And as long as McDermott's words echo in the background, the story of who no longer plays with him will haunt Buffalo season after season until clarity finally arrives or history simply moves on without it. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.